Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and I'm here next to my pillow with my lovely wife, Dr. Alicia. How you doing today, babe?
I'm doing all right. Wait, AliciaWatkins.com. What is that?
Oh, your books are there.
Ah,
Yeah, people can get all your books at
but look at
AliciaWatkins.com.
that. Let me take a look at the website.
I know it's crazy, right? You didn't even know it. Yeah,
You're like my fairy godmother.
I'm not your fairy godmother. I am not. I am nobody's mother. Thank you very
You're like
much.
my fairy godmother. Just
No, I'm.
magically things appear.
No. How about I'm the Godfather? We don't do that stuff. We ain't doing no transgender nothing up in here. Anyway, I hope you guys are doing well. And today we wanted to let us know if you can hear us. Give us a quick yes in the chat if you can hear us. Let us know if you can hear us, okay? And welcome to Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and this is my wife, Dr. Alicia Watkins. And on Pillow Talk, we like to take conversations that are happening in the Black community, particularly those that relate to love or money, relationships and money, and we try to elevate the conversation and see if we can provide some perspective that will give us the balance and the Black love that we need in our community. So if you care about Black love and if that matters to you, type the words Black love in the chat. All right. So, hey, Trace from the UK, I see you, and Crystal Harris Thomas and Phyllis Wigington, Kenidra Elmira, Tony C. Good to see you. All right. So, how many of y'all saw this? Did any of y'all see Dr. Umar in this interview? He went on the Joe Budden podcast and they had a real heated conversation about interracial relationships. Did y'all see that? Give me a yes in the chat if you saw this conversation with Dr. Umar. It was really interesting. Did you see it, babe?
Oh yes, I saw it. It was really lovely. How are you gonna debate somebody on who's the blackest when you're married to a white person? I
Oh,
don't understand
well,
that.
is that what they were debating? I thought they were just debating. Like, I thought Umar was challenging this co-host. His name is Ish, apparently, and apparently Ish is in the middle of some ish.
They were having a tit for tat on who's the blackest, who
Really?
who can contribute to the black community the most, and all of
Mm.
that. Like, I think if you're gonna marry outside your race, you need to just stay out of those conversations.
Well, I think you have to be careful because when you get into comments about who's the blackest and who's doing the most, ain't nobody perfect in this game. In meaning that everybody can be criticized, and I think you have to be really cautious about criticizing who somebody loves. Don't get me wrong. I'm team black woman all day. I told anybody who's been listening to me for a decade knows that I've said years before I even thought about you and I get married. I said if I get married, I will be marrying a black woman, and that's because I align with what Dr. Umar says in terms of love being about. I think he said it he said it well. He said something about I want to say purpose and opportunity or something like that. That literally like you can be conscious about who you choose to fall in love with. Like the idea that I can just show up and be like, yeah, I'm all about this pro black thing, but I slipped and fell and landed in a white woman's vagina. That speaks to a level that speaks to a lack of consciousness about understanding that love is power, and when you are giving your love to to any particular person or in particular group, you are giving them power whether you like it or not. Now that, but then there's the secondary question of whether or not that makes you a sellout or not or whatever, right? Well, I think that's a touchy conversation, but I do think that understanding the power of black love, that's what I really like about this conversation.
Okay, that's very deep. I For me, it just ain't that deep. Like, I grew. You got to understand. I was born and were raised in the blackest area in the world. I
Hmm.
was born in Tuskegee, Alabama, raised in Gary, Indiana. I just white people just don't do it for me because I don't know them. Like, their culture is just so different from mine. I just don't find anybody outside of my race attractive because I just don't know them like that. Like,
You're a racist, ma'am.
I just can't
You're a
get with
bigot.
I just can't get with it. Like, I don't even think that deeply. Like, I think if I grew up in a different environment, maybe I would find them attractive, but they just don't. They
but you,
just
but you're
don't give
the
me what I'm
you're
looking
the you're the
for.
high yellow black woman.
I
Like
don't care.
all the
I
white
could
men,
be
they think you're cute.
every time I go to Los Angeles, some white guy's trying to hit on me, and it's like,
That's
ew.
so true.
It's like, who do you think you are? Who do you think you are? Did you really think that I would be interested in you? Like, what is it about me that makes you think that I would actually be attracted to you. Do you really think you could be on the level where you could actually give me what I need as a black woman? No, never. You never can.
Well, we know that
And I don't know what that makes me.
one strike against him is that he certainly no Boyce Watkins. That no, you know what was so funny was I was in L.A. with you one time and we were at Chris's house,
And
and
the guy,
that Italian guy he pulled up. He was like
he had a
having
nice
his
little
little
car.
midlife crisis, and he pulled up in the sports car. I went for a little walk around the block, and I walked up, and I can always tell when a man is trying to holler at a woman. So I don't even intervene. I just kind of saw it happening, and I just kind of sat back and kind of thought I would observe and laugh my way out of it, just kind of see what he did. And I saw how he
He
was
was
kind of,
so flirting with me.
yeah, he was like, "You want to go for a ride in my car?" I'm just laughing. and and honestly, it's like it wasn't I didn't even get offended. I actually remember thinking like, yeah, of course you should think my wife is attractive. My wife is the most beautiful woman on the planet. I got the prize up in here, so I can't get mad at you for wanting the prize. You can't have the prize, but I'm not mad at you for wanting it. You're supposed to want that.
Did he really think that that car was impressive to me? Like,
That's another thing he didn't
no.
know about. He doesn't know you're not into all the material stuff, and because I learned that about you when when you told me about all them NBA and NFL players who are trying to impress you with money, and you're tough to impress because you want all those things money can't buy, like attention and connection and intelligence, and some people can't deliver. Sometimes all a guy can do is drive up in a sports car.
Yeah, well, I don't even know what was going on in his head because I wasn't interested. I already taken. I'm already spoken for. Why would I ride around in some car disrespecting you? That would have been very disrespectful to you, boys.
Oh well, yeah. I
If
mean,
I had
I
gone
wouldn't.
in a
Don't get me
spin in his
wrong. Don't get
car.
me wrong. I'm not one of those like chest thumping type of guys that has to jump in and intervene. Who? Why are you talking to my
No,
woman? What's wrong with you, boy?
you were cool about it though,
No, I don't.
boys.
Yeah, I don't get. I told you. I found that jealousy, and we're gonna get back to Umar in a second. I
No, but
probably y'all know how
this
we
is
do on Pillow Talks.
interesting.
Yeah, jealousy. I decided when I was about 32, 30, about actually 29. I decided that jealousy was a toxic emotion, and that I
No.
did not. No, no, no. I did not want to carry it in my heart. It does not feel good to be jealous. Jealousy does not make you a better man.
Okay.
Jealousy does not make you a more appealing man. Jealousy makes people not want to be around you.
Okay.
And yeah,
So
so
let me just say, I just want to say jealousy is an emotion like any other emotion and it's normal. I think if you had gotten jealous, I would have
they're
been
debating on who this woman is that I'm talking to, and somebody said that's his girlfriend, and then JB
his
stepped in and said that's
girlfriend.
his wife. Yeah, that's my wife, by the way. So go ahead,
Okay,
wife.
well,
Keep talking.
yes, husband. Let me just say something, husband.
Yes.
I think jealousy is a normal emotion, like all it's a normal feeling, like all feelings. And so just as human beings, it's okay to be jealous, but
Hmm.
it's what you do with it. Like, I think it would have been cute if you'd be like, "Oh wow, Alicia, I was a little jealous about that." But it's okay. And then I would have said, "Yeah, I understand, but you're my man." And just give you a hug and a kiss. Like that would have been like a bonding experience for both of us because I like the emotional connection. So
Yeah.
I think that's really cute. Now, I think what you're thinking is that someone gets jealous and then they like, dude, don't be talking to my lady and acting all weird like that. Like that's not cool. But in terms of feeling jealous, that's actually pretty awesome. It
I,
would make me feel like you really love me if
well, no,
you felt a little jealous.
I hear you. I hear it. I hear your perspective. I do,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna tell you, the younger Boyce would have been real jealous. Like the 28-year-old Boyce,
Oh.
you would have got full fire. Like I would have stepped in between y'all two. Like what's going on? But
Oh, that would have
really,
been embarrassing.
yeah, yeah. But really, I learned a long time ago that what's for you is for you, and if a woman loves you, she loves you. She's
Mhm.
gonna look out for you when you ain't there or when you are there. And if she ain't looking out for you, then she's not for you, which means you're fighting. I don't believe in fighting over something that's not really yours. But when it
Mhm.
is yours, you don't have to fight for it like that. So
Well, I think
with you, I here's how I perceived it, right? This was my perception, right?
yeah.
My perception was, wow, okay, so this guy thinks my wife is attractive. I appreciate that. Thank you. That's a compliment to me because I think my wife is attractive too. You can't have her. She's not going to be getting in your sports car today. So I'm sorry, sir. But if you want to, if you want to shoot your shot, you can. And I'm just going to observe just because it's fun, right? So I think at the end of the day, I'm just really my advice when I talk to younger guys is don't let yourself be led around by jealousy because I don't know, ladies, maybe you can confirm. I don't think jealousy makes a man more attractive. I think it makes him look weak and insecure. and it makes him look unappealing. I don't, but now a healthy appreciation. That's what I aim for. My appreciation is, yeah, you are the prize. I don't want to, like that Simone Biles debate with her boyfriend about who the prize was and all that. I don't want to have that debate with you because it's like, no, I'm the prize and you're the prize. We are. Then the relationship to me is the big prize, right?
Okay.
Our family is the prize.
Okay. So, I think I'll just button it up by saying it's okay to feel jealous, but it's not okay to act on it. And the best thing you can do is vocalize how you're feeling with your partner and be comfortable enough to be that vulnerable to say, I felt really jealous. And it's okay to say that, but don't act on it by acting stupid.
Okay.
So we'll just leave it there. How about
Okay.
that?
So says the relationship therapist. By the way, Dr. Alicia's books, you can go to aliciawatkins.com and take a look at some of her books. And also, she's a licensed therapist and a full professor of social work. And her website actually is coachingwithdralicia.com. And feel free to go there and take a look at what she does. She sees clients on an individual and collective basis. And she's really good at what she does. So shout out to all the Black women.
I'm passionate about what I do.
Shout out to the Black women that are kicking ass and taking names. And so here, speaking of amazing Black women and how awesome y'all are, let's play the Umar clip because I want everybody to hear what Umar said on the Joe Budden podcast because I think it's a great conversation.
It's so funny.
Yeah. And me and Umar have a long history, and I'll even talk a little bit about that. I think it's kind of hilarious. But I'm going to go ahead and, first of all, just give a precursor and say that I definitely like the fact that they had this conversation. So give me a yes in the chat if you can hear this. As you hit the thumbs up button, by the way, please hit the thumbs up button. Also, don't forget this podcast is on Spotify. So you can look up my name, Boyce Watkins, on Spotify. You can find it there. So here's the clip. Give me a yes if you can hear this video.
My manager that he hired to come in here and clean this motherfucking apartment. Joe might not know who the fuck cleans this
Something
apartment.
just hit me.
Shoot.
Are you mixed race?
No.
Or you a bunny hopper?
Yes. That's
why you have a liberal perspective.
That's not true. That's not
because you go home to a white woman.
Yes, but that's not true. I felt this way before I met my white girlfriend.
So help me understand how you could be so passionate about the black.
I'm passionate. I'm an objective thinker. If something makes sense.
So you have no loyalty to the black community.
No, I do have. I probably employ more blacks than you.
Okay, so help me understand that you employ more blacks than me, but you go home to a white woman. Why you don't have a black woman?
Because I fell in love with a white woman, not a black.
Why didn't you fall in love with a black woman?
I fell in love with a black woman. We broke up.
Okay, and why didn't you fall in love with another black woman?
I did that too. We broke up.
Okay. And why didn't you get another one and another one and another one until you found the right one?
Because I met a white woman that I fell in love with, and that's the person.
And you're being disingenuous about
something.
That's not true. And let me tell you what you're being disingenuous about.
True.
Romance is a function of focus and opportunity. If I want to date an Asian, I'm going to put myself around Asian women so I can find one. If I want to date a Latino, I'm going to put myself around Latino women so I can date one. If you wanted to marry a black woman, you would have put yourself around black women so you can find one. So how did you end up with the Caucasian? No disrespect to her.
No, not at all. What I'm telling you is the places that I go socially are not just monolithic.
So what? I went to a white college, white job. I never bunny hopped.
Listen to my question. Let me answer you. That wasn't my priority. My priority wasn't, I'm not closed off to dating Latino women. I'm not closed off to dating Asian women. I'm not closed off to dating white women. So again, in my search for romance, all of those things were on the table.
But you do understand that by not being with a black woman, you undermine the success of the black community.
That's your opinion.
That's my opinion. Then tell me how the black community benefits from you having a white woman.
If I lend to the financial uplifting of that community, one. That's one thing. Two, if I'm helping to educate the people in that particular community, that's a benefit.
Does not your white woman benefit more from your economics than any black person?
Yeah, probably.
Exactly.
So why can't they both be mutually beneficial?
You want to know why? Because she belongs to the group that is responsible for the historical oppression of your race.
So
why would you voluntarily go over and marry into that? Because when you marry the woman, you don't just marry the woman or date the woman. You're dating her community and her culture. And given the history of us and them, why would you dare align yourself with that if you care about us?
Let me ask you a question. I want you to let me get my answers out.
Go ahead.
So hypothetically.
Wow.
Were we talking over the people?
No, it mutes us when we're.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you, wow, that what a great conversation. Let's just start there.
Let me tell you, he wasn't ready for Umar. He wasn't ready. He wasn't ready for what Umar had to say.
Not many people are ready for Umar. I've been knowing Umar since the very beginning. I done seen all the scandals, all the ups and downs. Umar's been mad at me since 2015. And I don't know why he's very confident, and sometimes that confidence translates into what could be defined as arrogance. And so rather than putting his ego to the side and me, I literally have said, brother, we agree on like 90% of everything you say. We should be friends.
He don't want to be friends
he's
with
still
me.
mad at me. Every time he goes somewhere, they say, "Hey, Dr. Umar, Dr. Boyce is upstairs. Yeah, we'd love to get y'all on stage together." He says no. He says, "I will not go on stage with Dr. Boyce."
Yeah, he doesn't care for you, but he doesn't like a lot of people either. So don't feel.
Oh, I don't feel bad.
Yeah,
I
don't
don't
feel
care.
bad.
No, I don't
There's
care.
a
I mean,
lot of people
that's
he
the
doesn't
thing.
like.
I don't really. There's not a single person I've ever disagree with on any level where I would not sit in a room with them and look them in the eye and say, "Okay, let's figure this out. What's going on? Tell me how you feel." You know, I think that some of these guys are very. Roland Martin's another one. He's just very, very. What's the word? Um, almost. I'm gonna say diva-ish, a little diva-ish. And I'm like, come on, man. The cause is bigger than our egos. Like, let's stop this nonsense. People want to see us work together, but I think when you hurt someone's feelings, I think I hurt Umar's feelings, and I think I hurt Roland's feelings, and I think when you do that, they stay mad for
They
a long time.
remember that forever.
They
They're
they
like,
they do
man,
they do,
forget
and
that
I get
dude.
it. So maybe it's my fault, but at the same time, though, I'm gonna say this. I love the conversation Umar had. I have been saying for years that who you marry says a lot about you and your commitment to the black cause. It does not mean, here's the thing, this is where I'm going to kind of be careful though. I don't want anybody in here who's got a white spouse to feel uninvited and unwelcome to the struggle because I think love is complicated. I think it's difficult. But I can say that being in the position that I'm in, I could not be the same guy and still be like, oh, I'm Mr. Pro Black this and Pro Black that. And then be like, oh, by the way, here's my white wife. It wouldn't make sense. And anybody who asks me, who says, Dr. West, that doesn't make sense, that's a little bit hypocritical, I could not disagree with that.
Yeah, so why wouldn't that guy say, okay, I see your point, Umar? Like, why get into a whole debate with him? Why say, because Umar had good points. And somebody who was really thinking logical would say, well, yeah, I guess that would be sort of complicated thing to deal with. And that's just something I have to kind of live with because this is the person that I love. Like, if I was a white lady married to a black man, I would want him to recognize that and to just say this makes it very complicated. Even if we have children, it makes it complicated. Like, I think
Hmm.
the best thing to do in interracial relationships is to embrace that dichotomy of talking black, sleeping white. All of those things are very legitimate or legitimate things. And I think for a successful interracial relationship, all of those things need to be put on the table and talked about openly instead of denying it. He was kind of like, nah, that's not what's going on. I'm still, no, you can't really pump your chest and say I'm pro black when at Christmas, half of the people in the room when you celebrating Christmas are white people. And most of these white people, they don't care about black causes. I mean, just face it.
Well, you know what it
Even
speaks.
if you date somebody outside your
Well,
race.
what it speaks to, we can even make this an investing conversation. We talk about investing in wealth on this platform all the time, and one of the biggest things about wealth is that most wealth is non-financial. Family is a part of black wealth, and part of the reason black wealth is declining. Those of you who listen to this platform know I've said this. Part of the reason black wealth is dropping is because your families are disintegrating. Part of the reason your families are disintegrating is because you have a gender war that is being pushed by others. They're pushing black men and black women away from each other. I just did a whole hour-long discussion yesterday about a sister who did a podcast where she was basically claiming that black men are not looking back. That black men have left black women behind,
Wait,
and they're not
based
looking
on
back.
what?
Yeah, right. I
What's
right.
she
And the
talking
thing, well, the
about?
thing was, and I did kind of challenge the thinking in that whole conversation. I said, first of all, what are you talking about? And there are guys like me and Umar who believe deeply in being with a black woman. Now, here's another thing, though. The thing that you have to be careful about, though, when you go in and you criticize who somebody chooses to be with, or you look and you say, well, you didn't do what I did, so that makes you less than me. The problem with that is they can then turn around and they can point out your flaws. Now, remember with Umar, I put Damani Scott's comment up here because he said I would have asked Umar who his wife is, where his wife is at. So someone could easily come back and say to Umar, and this ain't a criticism, this is just a fact. Somebody could easily come back to him and say, look, where are you really investing in a black woman or a black family? Like, are you talking about the conscious stripper? Those who go back remember the conscious stripper and the long line of hoes that people have talked about who connected Umar with. Like, is that your way of being connected to the black woman, or have you committed to a black woman, or even done a polygamous thing, right? Committed to some sort of family structure. Umar does not, from what I understand, have any sort of black family. So somebody could, and I'm not criticizing for them, I'm saying somebody could. I'm saying that somebody could come back and say, okay, you're criticizing me for not being with a black woman, but neither are you. Somebody, there are really people out here that are what they call purists when it comes to relationships, who say, if you have not married somebody or made a formal commitment to a woman, you ain't really with those women. You fucking them. Excuse my French. I didn't mean to cuss. I'm not gonna cuss no more. I try not to cuss
Why
more.
not curse? What's wrong with cursing?
Because I don't. Because you're my wife. I try to be respectful.
So it's disrespectful. You think it's disrespectful to curse? I don't know. I'm not saying either way, but I'm just curious what you thought about it. But
that's my point. So I don't know. I personally think that Umar was right to bring up the conversation. I think it's a great conversation because I do think that who you choose to be with. Think about this. The biggest investment a man or a woman makes in their life is who you choose to spend your life with. So how can I tell you, like, oh, I'm about it. I'm all in on the black community. But when it comes time for me to make the real big investment, I invest in a white lady. And all these great black women out here, all these women, looking for good husbands, looking for family stability. But I say, no, I want to create family stability for this woman who doesn't even need it, who's already got plenty of rich men in her own community, but she's going to get one of ours too. I understand that. I really get that.
Okay, so we're saying that, okay, Umar, you're coming down on this guy for dating a white woman, thinking that you're for the cause, but Umar himself has not committed to a black woman and created this black family. He's not a token of all of the things that he's preaching about. Is that what
no?
we're saying?
I would not say that about Umar. No.
Okay.
Even though I know the thing is, I have to be cautious when I talk about Umar. Some might think that he shouldn't be thinking about me, but believe me, I have plenty of evidence that he does. There's plenty of proof out there on the internet if you go find it. And the point of the matter, though, is not to say that there's something wrong with his approach. I think the good outweighs the bad. Umar Johnson, and I said this when I first met him. I met Umar 10 years ago in 2013 at a mass incarceration conference in Boston. And we got along fine, and I complimented him or whatever. And he took something I said wrong, and he consistently would just say these crazy things on the internet about me. And I'm kind of a person that's like, we're grown men. We're supposed to talk to each other. Like, why don't we talk and figure this out? Because I don't know where you're getting this from. And he kept doing very immature things that I thought were just, I was like, okay, this is below my level. I'm not trying to be a kid out here. Either we're going to be grown men or we're not, or we're just not going to talk. And then actually, I think what really upset him was when I did that video about the school, and the video's still out there. People can go watch it. And I basically said, I don't understand what's going on with this school, because you've been collecting all this money. You've been talking about building the school, and there's no evidence. I said, if I'm wrong, show me evidence that's being built. Show me a board. Show me something that's happening with this school project. So he's been very upset about that for a long time. However, with Umar, the thing about it, though, is that I can also look at him and say, I think the good outweighs the bad. He's one of the best orators I've ever seen. He's also a very smart guy. He's very passionate about the black community. But he is not perfect, and neither am I. Nobody's perfect one way or the other. And I think that but I do think, though, that while this conversation is very important, who you're with and who you choose to spend your life with does matter. I think we got to be careful about pretending like our own shit doesn't stink, because believe me, if somebody goes back and just really analyzes the last 10 years of controversies Umar's been involved with, you find a lot of situations that are like, whoa, wait a minute, and I just kind of think that it's good for entertainment value, to sort of beat up on this guy because he's got his white girlfriend. But I know good black people who are in relationships with people who are not black. And even though I would never do that myself, even though I made it clear, I said, no, I show my loyalty to the community by being with a black woman. I'm not necessarily the guy who's going to point out the details of your relationship as if I understand why you chose the person that you're with. I think that's kind of a hard conversation to have.
Yeah, I mean, well, I think that you don't have to be really intelligent to be able to understand that Umar has a track record of not getting along with a lot of people. So, I mean, I don't know if you should take it personal that it's you, and just say there's a lot of people in this space who have similar stories to share about Umar Johnson, whether they talk about it publicly, but behind closed doors, you all know when you all get together, y'all have the same story about Umar. Everybody does.
He's interesting. He's interesting, and I think what I like about him though is I like the fact I like anybody who brings up conversations that don't hit the mainstream, the conversations other people are scared to have, and it's I think the good definitely outweighs the bad. I think that you can certainly challenge a person and say, because I know it just seemed to be logical to me when I was 16, and my mother told me that a lot of her friends have a hard time finding a good husband. I remember saying to myself, because her issue was that the Vietnam War took out a lot of black men and kind of messed them up.
Hmm.
And I remember saying to myself at 16, because I love my mother, I'm gonna definitely marry me a black woman. And it was out of loyalty to my mother and her expressing the challenges that her friends were having, when it came to finding men. So in at that moment, it was just in my head, like no, I'm not gonna go and try to. And then on top of that, he's correct in the sense that when you are black and you marry somebody who's not black, you have a lot of hurdles to jump, a lot of cultural
You
challenges.
do. You do.
And I think people the biggest mistake people make when it comes to this wealth building, community building, and all that is they believe that who you date has nothing to do with anything else. It has nothing to do with your ability to accumulate wealth. It has nothing to do with your ability to support your community. That it's all just about a booty call. That all dating and love is just I'm gonna just get with somebody because they look good, and that's all that matters. And what other cultures really understand is that who you link up with in relationships is connected deeply to the longevity of your culture, your
Wait,
community.
what do you mean other cultures? Are you saying that there's something fundamentally flawed with our culture that we think that we have to hook up with somebody because they actually look good?
I
Is
think
that what you're saying
I think
about
I
our culture?
put it this way. I see a lot of people complaining about their babies' mamas and their baby daddies, and to me,
What's their complaint, I wonder?
they're complaining a lot of times that baby daddy ain't shit. My baby mama, I can't
What
stand her. She's this and she's that.
Well, I'm just
But my
curious
point,
about what they're actually doing. Like,
right? Well, my point is to say that my challenge is, and I know you work with a lot of couples and stuff.
yeah.
My challenge is that I don't think people think strategically about who they choose to get with. I think that they'll go like the corporate lady will go sleep with the thug because the sex is good, or the man will go get with the stripper. The college educated guy will go lay down with a lady he ain't got no business with. That he would never want it as the mother of his kids because she's sexy and the sex is good, and he doesn't understand how this could parlay itself into some long term implications. Like I have a friend.
So, are you saying that that is fundamentally what's going on in the black community? I'm just curious about what you're
I
thinking
think that
that's
we don't.
happening.
Yeah, I don't think that we think of mating, dating, and relationships in a strategic fashion.
What do you mean strategic? Because are you thinking that? Tell me more about. I'm just curious about the mind of you boys.
Hmm.
So, tell me, what do you think about? What do you mean strategic? Is it just like what is this process for you?
I'm
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 just
I'm gonna tell
curious.
you, I'm Game of Thrones with it. In Game of Thrones, people got married to bring houses together, to bring power together. I see marriage and family as an institution.
Okay, so I'm just curious because when you first started dating me, I mean, a lot of people were telling you, "Hey, you should be like a power couple with some other ladies who are online and have a big platform online." I had zero platform online. I wasn't even on Instagram when we first started dating. I just started following you on Instagram long after we started dating, when I finally created an Instagram page. So a lot of people looked at you and said, "Boys, you need to be more strategic and date somebody." They wanted you to date. I think a lot of people really wanted you to date like a Hollywood actress or like somebody who was constantly speaking in the black community about some of these topics that you are already talking about. And I think that
Hmm.
some people thought that maybe you weren't strategic enough when you decided to pick me over some other women who are already online, who follow you and who are always interested in being around the Boyce Watkins, right? So, I mean, tell me let's bring it to me and you. What's
Okay,
going on
well, I
here?
could I could tell you strategically why I picked you. Number one, I mean, attraction plays a part in bringing people together, right? I thought you were the most beautiful woman I ever saw, but then also strategy played a part in the sense of me thinking about what kind of household I wanted to have, what kind of woman I wanted to have next to me. I wanted
Okay.
yeah, sure. Every man wants, I think most men want a woman that looks good, but then also you want a woman who can engage and interact with other people in the spaces that you might operate. I wouldn't, if you were a hood rat, I probably wouldn't have married you. if you were ghetto and crazy and loud or whatever, I wouldn't,
By
you
the
know.
way, there's nothing wrong with hood rats and
Right,
being ghetto.
nothing wrong.
There's
Right,
nothing
right.
wrong with
Shout out
that.
to all the ghetto hood rats.
I love
Hood
everybody.
rats need love too. Hood rats deserve all the love on earth, but they just ain't gonna get it from me. I don't dislike you. I just can't. I'm not interested in that.
Everybody. By the
That behavior does
way,
not appeal to me.
yeah, I'm going to jump in because I've been hearing a lot of conversation online about high value, and I reject all of that. Everybody is high value to somebody. And I think we need to get away from these comments. What's a high value man? What's a high value woman? Like, who came up with that? And let's just get rid of that. For 2024, let's just get rid of that term high value, because there's no such thing as a high value person. Like, all of us are valuable.
Well, I think
And we're
right.
valuable to everybody who's around us and who cares for us. Like, there's no such thing as that. And who are you to set some outside criteria about what is valuable and what is not? All of us are valuable.
Okay, yes, we are.
Let's move away from that.
So JB
I did not like
JB
that.
says no sexy red for Dr. Boyce. No, sexy
Nothing
red.
wrong with sexy red.
They
She
can,
needs
you
love
know
too.
what? She can love whoever she wants as long as it ain't me. But anyway, here's so my point is to say that, like, strategic does not mean like I'm necessarily just going to marry somebody who's great for my career.
Okay,
Like, my
just,
career,
you know.
my power, my wealth, my existence, my value that I want to add on this planet is deeper than just what I do for a living. It's deeper than just how many followers I can get online. The followers I get online does not define who I am. It is a reflection of who I am, right? It's just a part. It's part of the process. It's not, So I wasn't thinking like, oh, how can I go marry somebody that's got a lot of followers? I had followers. I had millions of followers when we got together. Why do I need more followers? I wasn't thinking about that. I was thinking about, okay, is this a person that can function in the environment that we would try to create together as an institution, as a family, in a productive way. I'll give you one example. When I was not gonna say shopping, but kind of hunting, sort of looking and interested in meeting a woman, I would observe. I would take time to think about things. I'm a deep thinker. I'll think about a person. I would think about a woman for 6 or 8 months before I even ask her out on a date. A lot of people don't do that, but that's what I did because I didn't want to get caught in stupid traps. And there was a really pretty lady who was, very pretty, almost as pretty as you, and was very smart and had lots of degrees and everything else. But I saw her blast her ex-husband online. I saw her just go out and just, tell the whole world about all these things that he did to her allegedly, and what kind of a terrible person he was. And I feel like that's inappropriate. I don't believe in kissing and telling. That to me is not, it's without class. It's not dignified. I did not want to be. So if you were a person who was like that, who just felt like, I got to tell my story, I'm gonna do a tell-all book and I'm gonna tell everybody what kind of person, that when people like that are not good people to build with, because you have to have some respect for what you're trying to build. And I think it's highly disrespectful to be out here telling people about you. Nobody on this chat will ever hear a single word about any woman that I ever slept with other than you.
Oh, wow.
And I won't tell, and even with you, I wouldn't tell them too much. You know what I mean? Like, but seriously, you won't hear me say nothing about no exes, because I've had people do me dirty. I've had people I've done business with that disappointed me. All of us have. But this culture of people going in and being like, well, I'm gonna tell everything. Or I was Will Smith's manager for 20 years. I'm gonna go tell it all. I don't respect that. I think that
Wait, hold on. What kind of, in the world of NDAs, what in the NDA is happening with all these people in their tell-all? Like, come on.
I don't know. Well, it's the internet is the place where people can suddenly get all the attention that they never got.
It's like clout chasing.
It is definitely clout chasing.
In a way that doesn't make you look good at all.
No.
Like, how could anybody? Okay, if you were someone famous's assistant and you go out and you tell it all, that is like suicidal career, because nobody is going to want to ever hire you. Like, this person is a loose cannon. They'll sit and tell all your little secrets, NDA or not.
Yeah, I just kind of feel like that's just
terrible.
Like I don't know. I would feel like a scumbag if I was doing that. I'm out here like, oh, I'm just telling my story about what happened to me, y'all, and no, take it to court or whatever. But have some class. But anyway, guys, by the way, you listen to Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. This is my wife, Dr. Alicia Watkins. And on Pillow Talk, we get together and we talk about all kinds of stuff against our pillow, and we tend to focus on topics that relate to love and money. If you could do me a favor, please hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. Yeah, that's a picture of us when we were in Europe. Also, this podcast is on Spotify. If you look up my name on Spotify, you will find our podcast episodes there. There's content loaded up every single day. And also, we had over 1 million downloads on Spotify alone last month. So thank you guys for your support. And also, make sure you hit the thumbs up button, subscribe, all that. If you want to take a look at Dr. Alicia's books or my books, you can go to drboycebooks.com. And if you'd like to see what Dr. Alicia does, she sees clients on an individual and collective basis. You can go to coachingwithdralicia.com. That's coachingwithdralicia.com.
Wait,
So,
do you know what I'm thinking about in that picture?
what? What are you thinking about?
Put that picture back.
Okay, I can't find it. But
I
yeah,
am thinking.
what are you thinking in this picture?
I did not bring a warm enough coat. That was
You
the
look warm.
coldest place in the world.
It was Denmark.
It was Denmark, Copenhagen.
I think we're in Denmark. Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, y'all, it's the end of July and it was like freaking 40 degrees outside. I just remember thinking I am not prepared for this trip and it is way too freaking cold in Europe. Europe is just too cold for me in the winter. In the summer, it's too cold.
I went to the hot springs in Iceland that same trip, and I was swimming. It was like 25 degrees outside, and I was actually swimming. It was.
I don't know why that just was so uncomfortable. I was really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Could you see? You can look at my face. It was kind of like I'm smiling for this picture, but I'm really uncomfortable right now.
Anyway, okay, so let's get back to this.
Anyway,
so let's pin up with this.
The picture. That's what
thing.
I was thinking.
I'm actually about to interview Cedric. Cedric, I don't have his last name in front of me, but we're about to do a session for Dr. Boyce Real Estate.
When you doing that tonight?
Yeah, in like 20 minutes. So I actually got to run out of here in a second. But if you're interested in learning about commercial real estate, one of our guest speakers in the Black Business School is Cedric. I believe his last name is Fulton. And he's going to do a training on commercial real estate, how to get started in commercial. There's a lot of opportunities there. So if you're interested in doing a free trial in Dr. Boyce Real Estate, just go to drboycerealestate.com. We bring in real estate experts every 2 to 3 weeks, and all the materials there for you to view it even after the fact. So feel free to go to drboycerealestate.com. All right. So with Dr. Umar, let's pin up this conversation here. So Umar made it really clear that basically he's explaining to his brother that you can't really call yourself a true asset to the Black community when you are dating Becky, Cindy, and Karen. And I don't disagree with that at all. I think that who you date does say something about you. Now, I want to be careful too, because I have people in my family who chose to date interracially. I will never be mean to somebody because they married a white man or a white woman. I don't think that that's my place to do that. I don't think it's my place to tell you who to sleep with. Right. And I think that's the part where I think we have to kind of be careful. However, I do think that it's okay for us to make it clear that there is a difference between somebody who chooses to marry in the Black community and someone who does not, especially given that there's such an effort to break up our families and to keep us apart from each other because they know that family is the key to power. So when you are married outside your race, I want everybody to understand that it is fundamentally true that you are diluting Black wealth when you do that, because that wealth is going to go towards somebody else. Now, the other point that has to be made, and I see Housing Vlog is making this point. I think that this guy who's debating Umar, who apparently was overwhelmed by Umar's energy, because Umar's such a great speaker, he's so smart, he's a great orator. He came back and basically said, he said a few things to defend himself, and I think that was his mistake. I wouldn't have been sitting there defending my choice.
He needed to have acknowledged.
I would have. You know what? I would have acknowledged. And then I would have said, okay, let's put the spotlight back on you. Yeah. You say that you said that being with the Black woman makes you a great asset to the Black community. Okay, fine. Where's your wife?
Where's your wife and kids?
Right. Where's your wife?
You have zero.
Right.
So what would you rather? Yeah. So Boyce, you took the words right out of my mouth with this one, because for sure. I mean, instead of him being defensive, okay, that's the thing. When you're having a conversation with someone and they're talking to you about something and they're making a very valid point, it makes you look even worse when you try to be defensive. And I think that's where this Ish guy or whatever, I don't know why I called him Ish, but anyway, this is where this Ish guy was really off base. He was being really defensive. And what he should have done was say, yeah, you know what, Umar, you make a really good point. Like, here I am wanting to help the Black community. I got one foot in the Black community, but you're right. I am married to a white woman. That's unfortunate, but that's the person who I fell in love with, and I stand by her. So, was he married to this lady?
Well, I don't know. I don't know if they're married.
He should have.
And here's another. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I cut you off.
Okay, I was saying like he should have like acknowledged that, and then he should have said, "Well, Umar, tell me about what's going on with you. Since now we're getting into my business, my personal business. Let's get into your impersonal business."
Exactly. And
You know.
yes, and I'm saying it seriously. That's the thing. Like I would have said, don't worry about my woman. Don't worry about who I'm with. Who are you with?
Yeah, you got
You know, or
zero.
did you marry the conscious stripper?
Oh,
A lot of people don't. A lot of people forget about
oh,
that. I'm serious. I'd be like, oh, did you? You know, because here's the thing. Here's what. And I know. I already know. Like what's gonna cause some people to get mad at me for saying it, but I tell the truth. I don't care who hears it. Um, a lot of guys that get in this position where they get a little internet fame, you get groupies. And when I was a single man on the speaking tour, just like Umar is, um, there were women everywhere constantly coming at you. And unfortunately, what Umar was tagged with, and I don't know if he's evolved out of this, but he was tagged with kind of being a guy who would,
exploit
he
women.
yeah, he was a
He was. Come on out with it, Boyce. Was he exploiting
I'm not
women?
gonna say no, I'm not gonna say exploit. I'm not gonna use the word exploit because they chose to be with him if they did. But like I heard a guy came to me, he said, yeah, well, one thing he does is he'll take a selfie with you and give you his phone number and say, text me the selfie. And according to this man, he claimed that the game was if you were cute in the selfie, he would text you back. Or, and I heard a brother tell me, he said, he said, yeah, I was hitting Umar up over and over again about the speaking engagement. He wasn't responding to me, but when my cute assistant was hitting him up on the text, he was responding to her all day. So I'm not sitting here trying to say that he doesn't have a right to do what he wants to do, but I'm saying, and this is what black women have to ask themselves is like, what's what do you which do you prefer? Do you prefer, say, let's say it's a white guy who just loves the shit out of you, who's devoted to you, who takes care of you, who shows up for you, or the black guy who wants to have 14 girlfriends at one time? And so while Umar is an asset to the black community as an orator in every single way, the same scrutiny that he gives to rappers and high yellow guys like this guy or whatever, that scrutiny could also be placed on him to say, okay, what exactly have you created in terms of a family infrastructure that can be leaned on for the black community? Because we know you didn't build the school. You've been talking about school for 12 years. We haven't seen it yet. What have you actually developed that is structured? And I'm not saying there's nothing there. I'm just saying I would have asked him to defend that. Bring all that up. Don't, because I know you do a
Yeah.
lot of speaking and that's important. But what else are you doing here?
And
Go ahead.
also, how many black women actually cash apped him? Remember how he gets online?
Oh, that's
Cash
not.
app
Oh,
me, cash
cash
app
at me,
me.
cash at me. Yeah, don't do
By
that.
the way, no, I do have to talk about that because I don't know if Umar Johnson knows this, but on TikTok, he is the laugh of all of the Gen Zs. The Gen Zs think he is hilarious because he's on
Yeah.
TikTok and they're like, "Do you know this Umar Johnson guy?" Like all of this entire generation, this younger generation of people, they look at him on YouTube or TikTok and they think he is the most hilarious person and they kind of make fun of him a little bit. I don't know if he realizes that he's a little bit of the butt of a joke when he gets online and talks about cash at me, cash at me. How many black women are cash apping him? It's a
Well,
lot.
it
And
is.
what is that money going
It
for?
is kind of
What is
funny.
it going
It is
to?
kind of funny that all of our kids knew about Umar, and I never brought Umar up to them. I never. They had
But
no
when they
idea.
talk
They
about
they
him,
had
it's
no.
in
Yeah, they
laughter.
had no idea that I know Umar. Like they were just like this guy Umar. Is he a comedian? That was kind of their
They
reaction to
thought
him.
he was a comedian, but I'm like, no, y'all, he's straight serious when he's talking. Like he is for real serious about what he's
Well, you know
saying.
what? I'm gonna tell you this. I've seen some evolution in terms of his development. He's definitely a different guy than he was 5 or 10 years ago, as all of us should be, and I give him credit for that. But when you've been around as long as I have, and you've kind of seen you've seen the evolution in real time, in every situation. Like the Sarah Sunseti video was hilarious. Remember, I just hit a button. Can you guys still hear us? Let us know if you can still hear us. Give us a yes if you can still hear us, because whenever my phone makes a funny noise, sometimes it kills the audio. Can you guys hear us okay? Give us a yes.
Okay, so me myself is talking about how Umar is so hilarious. Y'all look up Umar on TikTok. The comments in the clips of Umar is really funny. I'm not saying that I'm laughing at him. Okay, I'm just saying that a lot of people do.
Yeah.
And he's being.
That's
I said,
fair
I'm
assessment.
telling the kids, like, he's being serious. He's not trying to be funny. And they were like, what?
Well, here's the thing, right? I think that Umar, when he is serious, he really nails it on the head so well.
Yes, he
He's
does.
such a great orator. I like the way he says so many things that I agree with when it comes to economics, when it comes to the Black family, Black history, reparations, all that. Like, we're on the same page with that. Personally, we're not on the same page. For some reason, he has this issue with me. He's been having it, but I don't care about that. That does not matter
you
to me.
probably hurt his feelings, whatever you said.
Well, that video, I mean, almost 1 million people watched that video that I did on him in 2015.
Okay. Well, I'm sure that's why he don't.
Yeah,
I think
he's mad, I guess, because I never took it down, but I'm not going to. I said what I said, and that's what it was. But I think at the same time, though, Umar I like the world with Umar Johnson in it more than I like the world without him in it, because I like the fact that he did go on the Joe Budden podcast and he pushed them to have more conscious conversations. Because remember, Joe Budden just last week was really critical of D1 and just really said some nasty things about D1, a guy who's really a good friend of mine. And I think that Joe Budden's podcast needs that injection of consciousness. So he gave it to him. And gave it to him honestly. And
wait, was it Joe Budden he was talking to? I don't know.
No, he was talking to one of the co-hosts on Joe Budden's podcast.
So Joe Budden has a co-host who's married to a white woman or dating a white woman.
Yeah, dating. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Joe. Okay, so now we see where he's coming from.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So I think it was a good conversation. It got people talking, and I think that we all should be talking about this, because I do think that who you choose to marry does make a difference. No disrespect to anybody who married outside their race. I'm not here to judge that. That's not my job. But at the same time, though, again, I know that I couldn't be the same guy that I am if I was sitting here with a white female. I would probably feel some sort of contradiction there, and that's because the contradiction is very, very real. Because the biggest investment I've ever made in my life, it's not stocks, it's not bonds, it's not real estate, it's who I chose to spend my life with. So how can I really say that I'm Mr. Bliggity Black when it came time for me to make that big investment, and I did not, and I chose to divest instead?
And by the way, I'm 100% Black. Both my parents are Black.
Yeah, they think that because you're light skinned that you're a white girl.
But I can't help the way I come out. But
well, we see all your European blood, all that British blood.
That was not by choice. Nobody in my family, in my ancestral history line, was by choice.
I think I'm like 20% Irish, which is crazy.
The part about it is
that's why I wasn't as fast as I wanted to be on the track team, because it's that damn Irish blood slowing me down. Go ahead.
Well, actually, the Irish blood might be good because they don't have the melanin, so they don't feel the pain. I'm quoting Phil Valentine. I don't know if it's true. I'm just taking from Phil Valentine. Neuromelanin. Y'all gotta watch his lecture on melanin. Phil Valentine's lecture on melanin.
God bless Phil Valentine.
In one setting you'll have a lot to see. But the thing is that I don't see. Yeah, I know I did ancestry and I got quite a bit of Irish and British blood in me, but I definitely don't hold that up as something that I feel proud of. Because I know how it got there. It wasn't by choice. It wasn't by choice. And I'm not going to go to Ireland and be like, oh, I'm home with my ancestors. Like, that is a mental illness. To walk around and say something like that is mentally. It's a mental illness. But we digress to a whole nother conversation.
That's a good point. Well, anyway, just so you know, I want you all to know that if you are married to a white person, you're still welcome to come in here. We will never judge you. I'll never be mean to you. I won't bark at you because of what your spouse looks like. I think there are other ways you can compensate for areas where, maybe you didn't do exactly what everybody else did. Maybe you did something different, but I do think that a person who is married to a non-Black person can be a contributor to the community.
Oh, absolutely.
There's so many ways and I think that's the point that gets missed.
Yeah.
It's not an on-off switch, right? It's almost like, if you think about it, like money. If somebody says, well, we want to see how many dollars you have. And let's say that I show up and I say, well, I don't have any dollars, but I got 10 million nickels. Well, the 10 million nickels can add up to more than a few dollars. It's just you're paying in a different way. So I think there are people out there who maybe chose something other than what I would choose, who are still out here doing more for the black community than some of these people who did actually date and marry black people. Remember this too. Being with a black woman or a black man does not mean that you're an asset to the black community automatically, because there are black men and black women who hurt each other.
Okay, I just want to say, even just in my experiences, there have been black people who have done some awful things to me.
Mm-hmm.
Simultaneously, there have been some white people who have helped me out of a pickle at a time where I really needed them.
That's
Where
true.
I had not near black person to turn to, and there have been some white people who helped me up. Thank God for them.
Well, the thing about
I just want to say
well, the thing
that.
about choosing black is that when you get in these
So,
absolutist
yeah.
conversations that says black is always better, we know that's just not true. A lot of us know black people who harm other black people. We were just talking this week about Robin Simpson and that petition, which thank God it got over 20,000 signatures. You know, she got stabbed 60 times in the face by her black husband. So this man was not being an asset to the black community. He's been a complete liability. And I think that we also simultaneously, while we have to love our people and love our community, we also have to understand that being black does not necessarily give you some sort of clear path to righteousness. There are black people out here who will do horrible things to other black people, and we have to deal with that too, in addition to racist white people. So, long story short, if you want to know my simple assessment, I definitely would not marry a woman if she was not black. But at the same time, I would not marry every black woman, because some black women would be harmful to me, just like some black men will be harmful to you. So being black ain't enough. You got to be good and black. All right. So anyway, I'll let you get the last word. It's time to bounce out.
Yeah, this story is really tragic, by the way. And I've been hearing so many. I mean, this is not just an isolated thing. This happens. You hear stories like this, similar to this story that you have the picture of. There's dozens and thousands of stories like this all across the country,
Mm-hmm.
of really tragic things that's happening. Even in my personal life, I know somebody who was recently murdered by their son.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's just, all of it is
You
just
told me that. That
sad.
was like 3 days ago.
Yeah, a couple of days ago, right before Christmas. Can you imagine what
Oh
that
my
family is
God.
going
That's
through?
horrible.
So, I mean, that tells you about the mental health issues that are in our community that are unaddressed. What's happening in our homes is not healthy. And clearly there was something going on there between them, right? And God only knows what all was going through his head. Oh, he's still with us. So now we know what could have, been occurring, and what could have happened that led up to something so tragic, to make people make these decisions that are just detrimental. So, I mean, we got a lot of work to do. We have a lot of work to
Absolutely.
do in our community.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And by the way, if you want to go check out the case of Robin Simpson was from the B1 community. She's literally somebody who would be right in the chat with you. She spoke at the 2019 All Black National Convention. And according to her daughter, she was stabbed over 50 times in her face by her husband, who cut her heart and her brain out of her body. And the police were in the backyard while this was happening, which is leading us to ask the police what the hell was going on. Why weren't there more cops available?
What did
What
they
were y'all
say?
doing?
Did they come?
I don't know. They won't release the 911 call, so we're trying to make them
Okay, so
release.
they will.
So,
I know that they will. I'm sure they're doing an internal investigation, and I'm
mhm.
sure they will. I'm a little optimistic about this because,
Well,
it's something that's very tragic, and it's very, I think it's just very emotionally driven sort of situation. I'm certain that they're doing their own investigation. I'm gonna put my trust in the in the police,
no, I don't.
and then
I
their
don't. I don't. You
process.
trust the police more than I do. I
Well,
don't trust them.
I mean,
My dad was a cop, and
yeah,
I
but
know. I don't. I trust that they're going to protect themselves.
what
That's what
reason
I
would they
trust.
have? What reason? I guess I need to know more about it. But what reason would they have? Like, why? Why would they want to cover something up? Like, why
Well,
would they not want to do their job? And I think that investigation and all that stuff needs to be shown.
absolutely.
And
So yeah.
time will tell
So
with that one.
that's all we're asking them to do, is to
Yeah.
reveal everything. Tell us everything that happened. I tried. I'd love to see Ben Crump get on this case. Maybe he can get some money out of it, because I know that's what they tend to go after. It's fine. There's some possible police mistakes that were made here. I'm not sure, and we just want to get to the bottom of it. So if you want to follow up with the case, just look up the name Robin Simpson. She lives in Houston. And she's part of our community. She's one of us. She's not just black. She was B1. She was right here in our space. She's a proud leader in Delta Sigma Theta. Just look up Robin Simpson, and there's a petition on change.org that's gotten almost 25,000 signatures. Thank you to Spirit World and other places that have shared the story. It's now a national story. So I hope you all will help us make it even more national, make it an international story, because we got to protect our women, right? So loving the Black community means loving Black women. Loving Black women means protecting Black women. So that's one of the reasons why I am going to ride hard on this, because I think this is something worth looking at. All right. So anyway, guys, do us a favor. Please hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. Also, if you want to find out what Dr. Alicia does and take a look at some of her work, she sees clients on an individual and a collective basis, families, etc. You can go to coachingwithdralicia.com. That's coachingwithdralicia.com. Also, you can take a look at some of her books at aliciawatkins.com. All right, so thank you all very much for hanging out with us. We appreciate it. Love you. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you soon. Peace.